Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network. The broadcast shows are for informational and entertainment purposes only. They are not designed to provide listeners with specific personal, medical, or counseling advice. Individuals with a medical issue should always consult their healthcare provider. MS&Me is not responsible for content of individual shows. The views expressed by show hosts or their guests are their own. Enjoy the show.
Hey y'all, and welcome to Straight Up with MS and all its crazy little circles on MS&Me Radio, which is brought to you by the MS Global Support Network. I'm your host, I'm Patty Long, and you can find me at MSNet for life, because that's what we do. We are in this for life, and hopefully we're all in it together and have each other to lean on and learn from. And, you learn new stuff all the time. It's just inevitable because there's so many funky things about MS. It's just a weirdo disease. It causes weird things to happen that other people can't even comprehend. And that's just MS, This week, I wanted to talk to you guys in particular about something called the MS hug. Now, I asked some people that didn't know anything about the MS hug, don't have MS, if they could tell me what they thought it meant. And my dad's answer was priceless because he knows I have muscle spasms. He knows I have a lot of soreness and that you can actually hug me too tight. So he thought the MS hug referred to somebody hugging me too tight. So I thought that was pretty cool that was his description, even though it's not a description exactly of what the MS hug is. I've had other people say it's when you hug yourself and you're hugging yourself because nobody else is. So that's your MS hug. And I'm like, huh? Really? Okay, so there's a wide variety, but regardless, other people don't know what it is. And maybe you've experienced it, but you don't really know that's what it is either. I think they need to change the name of it because a hug, to me, is a good thing. I like hugs. I need hugs. But nobody needs this type of a hug. And so I'd really, I think it sounds too positive, and that's why people don't understand what it is, But what it actually is these muscles that are between your ribs, and they've got a name. They're called intercostal muscles. I can spit that all out. But they're called intercostal muscles, and these start spazzing them. And basically, they're in there to hold your ribs together, but also keep them separated. And so when those muscles go into severe spasms, it'll pull you forwards. It will make it feel like your belly is being sucked in and you can't breathe. And you can breathe, but it's more labored sounding because you're in this agony from this thing. And it can be on one side, both sides, front, back. It can be because, you've got 4 rib cages basically that are all connected by these muscles. And there's one on the front right, one on the front left, one back right, and one back left. And this is your rib cage. And, when you squeeze it, as in with this spasming that we call the MS hug, it can be squeezed just in one group of muscles or all the way around. And when it goes all the way around, it can be really, really bad. And you might think that there is something wrong with your heart. And if you let it go on for too long, and you're not doing anything for it, you can end up with some more severe damage to those muscles and nerves. So I highly suggest you don't just let it go. And if you've got a doctor that says it doesn't exist, well, I'm sorry, it does, and maybe you need a new doctor. Because these things are real. And it's amazing how many doctors are out there who don't think these things are real, but they still exist. So definitely you want a doctor who knows that MS is like this, and that these muscle spasms that we can get in any part of our body. So what do you do if you're experiencing the MS hug? Well, for me, I used to, before I knew any better, try and fight it. My body is pulling me one direction and it's squeezing. So I try and force it to go the other way so I can breathe. I feel like I'm choking, but I'm not, but I feel that way. And, so if you can talk at all, you're not choking, first off. If you can cry, you're not choking. And so what we are experiencing is the pain of the spasms, and just like getting punched in the belly takes your breath, these spasms will take your breath. But that doesn't mean you're not going to be able to take another one. So I don't want y'all to be afraid of that happening. But initially, as I was saying, I would fight them. And I would try and pull myself backwards as hard as I could. And yet my body was trying to go forwards. And so that wasn't helping me at all. Since then, I have learned that I can go with it. So my brain and these connections are wonky, right? So my brain isn't telling my body to do this, it's just doing it. So I want to put them all in sync. So I want to go with the flow of the muscle cramp instead of against it. And this is true of any of these muscle spasms. Like I've had people tell me their feet lock, and they just cramp so bad that they've locked. And so what you want to do is go in the direction so that your brain connects to the movement of what's going on. And once it connects, then you can disconnect from that pulling of the spasm. And that is one of the things that I have learned to do while the spasm is happening, is to go with it and to go more so. So if the hug is making my belly sink in, and then I try and sink it further and pull it tighter until I've pulled it really tight, and then it seems like it'll release easier. And if my foot is cramping like that, I'll try and make it go more, which is painful, yes, but this is what I have found works for me as far as being able to get it back under control so it doesn't stay spasming constantly. And you don't want the little on and off and on and off and on and off and on and off kind of spasms. Those are the kind that seem to do the most damage to me. They hit nerves, and damaged nerves burn like they're on fire, and you're stepping in it and there's no way to get out of it. So you feel like you're on fire, and that's not pleasant either. So we want to keep these things under control. And the first step is not fighting it. And the second step, in my opinion, is exercise. Now, we were talking about exercise the other day, and it was really funny because she's like, well, when you're that tired, how do you exercise? Well, and when you're that much in pain, how do you exercise? Well, you do it. You get up and you do it, and you do simple things that aren't so difficult that it's labor intensive, but yet will get those muscles working that are giving you a hard time. So our goal is to try and make them work. And so that's why I keep harping on exercise. And if you do it 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there, instead of trying to do an hour's worth at a time, then you don't become so exhausted, and your efforts are paid off through muscles that work better and better energy levels. As difficult as that is to wrap your mind around, if you are exhausted from MS and you do this 5 minutes on and then wait a while, and then 5 minutes worth again of exercise and wait a while, then you will end up with more energy and you will last better through the day. It seems backwards, but it's true. So what kind of exercises can you do for this MS hug? I mean, how do you exercise the muscles between your ribs? Well, I do it in the same way I exercise my lungs, which is by taking a breath and then breathing out and blowing out for as long as I can. And then when I think there's nothing left in there to blow out, I blow just one more time. That sounds impossible too, but it's true. You can do it. You can. You can take your normal breath. It doesn't even have to be a big deep breath, just a normal breath, and blow out. And when you're doing this, you want to try and sit up straight or be laying down straight. But you need to have your body straight. If you're not straight, if you're leaned over forwards, you can make your back hurt. So we need to be straight when we're doing this breathing exercise. And this breathing exercise will strengthen your core muscles all the way down, front and back. It will work on these intercostal muscles. It will work on your posture and helping it. It will help you with your upper body strength. It is amazing how much one little thing can do. And another way to do it, if you get, I have problems. If I'm concentrating on my breathing, I can't breathe. It's like, all that meditation stuff about your breathing and concentrate on your breathing. I'm one of these people that if I'm concentrating on my breathing, you know what? I can't breathe. So concentrating on it doesn't work for me. So another way to do it is by counting. So you take your breath in and then you say the number in as deep a voice as you can. And this is going to sound funny. So it's like, 1! And that will tighten everything all the way down. And so for me, I can usually count to about 5 at the most of doing it really deep before it starts either making my throat feel like it's getting hoarse or I've just plain had enough, and that's enough for that 5 minutes worth of exercise that I would be doing. Now, I do my counting and my breathing exercises. I do that with the count, and I do it while I'm doing my other exercises. So I do heel toes, I do butt kicks, and so I might do the deep count on 5 of the heel toes, or 5 of the butt kicks, or 5 of the side kicks, or on 5 of I don't even know what you call them. I use the stretchy bands, and I have them hooked into the door. And then I have my elbows by my side, and I hold on to the bands, and then I go straight back. Now, this is also a good exercise, and if you don't have bands, you can put something in your hands or just squeeze your fists. Squeezing a little ball works really well, and pulling them back and saying your numbers as you're pulling your arms from your elbows right next to your side, straight back, shoulders are down, all the way back there, and your hands are then as far back as they will go and still against your sides. And in that respect, you're working more than just those lung muscles and those rib muscles. You're getting your entire core plus whatever else you're doing at the same time. And that is a really cool thing to do and they turned me on to counting like that at physical therapy. And one of my physical therapists, he was in the service, and so he got me counting, and we called it military counting because, in the military, 1, 2, and I'm trying not to scream because I'm sitting outside, and I've got my grandkids in the house. My parents are here watching them, and because I wasn't going to leave y'all without a show for today, so my parents are watching them, and I'm really, really tired, y'all. Oh my gosh. My husband's been out and about after work, so I've had the kids to myself from the time they get up till basically the time they go to bed practically every night. And if any of you parents out there with MS are single parents, I feel for you. I feel very deeply for you because it's really difficult. My grandson is 4 and my granddaughter's almost 3, so that's a lot. And then nonstop cooking and things, it's just very tiring. So I can certainly appreciate what you go through if you are a single parent with MS. That is not something that I would wish upon my worst enemy. Of course, I wouldn't wish MS on my worst enemy either, but if you are a single parent, I certainly hope you have help on a daily basis so that you don't become overly exhausted to where you can't think and stay on topic like I'm doing now. So muscle spasms, back to those. The other things you can do for the muscle spasms are medicine. We have various medications out there that help with these things. I like the 2 milligrams of diazepam personally because they work very fast and they work very well. And if you take 2 milligrams when you need it, then there's no loopy, there's no sleepy, there's no side effect. Now, if you eat them like candy, then I imagine you're going to be loopy and sleepy. But if you take them just the 2 milligrams, then that will usually work really quickly. At night, I need more than that, though. At night, I take gabapentin. I take 600 milligrams, which is still a pretty small dose because that's all I take. And I take 4 milligrams of diazepam with it. And that's because I have severe muscle spasms in my sleep. And that stops the severe spasms that I have in my sleep. And they're those little fluttery kind I was talking about. And that left me with damage on my sciatic nerve that I had to deal with. And I did deal with it, and I don't have much trouble at all. Every now and then it will start to bother me, but it shoots from middle of your lower back wraps around your butt, goes down your leg and into your foot. So that's a burning pain that I don't want to have, and I don't want any more damage done. So I take the two together, which calms both the nervous system and the muscles, and lasts me throughout the night. It also helps me because it does stop the pain that I would otherwise be having. It helps me to sleep and not go to sleep, but to sleep once I get to sleep. I keep trying to think of other ways of describing this hug because I am all over the map today. I apologize, but I am. And that's part of what MS is. You know, last week I was going to talk about this, and I got sidetracked by a video announcement coming across my screen, and I started talking about these great videos, you know. But anyhow, aside from the medicine and the exercise and leaning into it instead of fighting it, those are my biggest pieces of advice for dealing with muscle spasms in general, and especially with this MS hug, because the more you fight it, the worse it gets. So I have to lean in. I have to go with it. I have to do what it's trying to do to compensate for the messed up signal and make it the correct signal. Because if it's messed up and is pulling me to lean forwards, and I start leaning forwards, not from the pull, but because I want to, and lean even more forwards, bend more, then it's telling my brain the correct signal and doing the correct thing. And that's kind of my point for going with it, is that is one of the things that helps me the most to get rid of it, is to not fight it. You know, natural instinct has us fighting these things, and sometimes we have to fight that natural instinct in order to win, and do it the opposite way. So I hope you guys will try that. Now, I've also found that all of these things have triggers, and for me, the cold is a trigger. And I know getting cold is a trigger for a lot of you guys out there, even if you don't have a severe cold intolerance or any kind of cold intolerance. Just getting cold will trigger these kinds of things in a lot of people. Tight clothing can trigger these. If I wear like a normal bra that's got the underwire and everything, and I used to, you know, that's what I used to always wear. And but if I wear one now, that wrapping around my body there triggers one of these MS hugs, as they call them, this death trap of a hug. But, you know, it triggers the spasms to have that bra going around through there. So I started wearing cami tops. Well, in the summertime, it's super hot. So who wants a long cami in the summertime? So I got the short ones. And darn if that didn't do the same thing, because again, it's cutting my body in half. So I have to wear full length. I can't wear anything that cuts me. Now, I saw the other day, and I didn't get it, but it was like a cami, but it had the underwire. And I thought that was really cool that it had the underwire, but I was kind of afraid to get it and spend the money on it, because I'm afraid that that underwire is going to then cut me in half. So I decided, nah, I'll just stick with the camis. You know, it's, they're, being comfortable is more important to me than, and not having the issue when I know that it's a trigger. So finding those triggers can really, really help eliminate them. And it wasn't until I learned to lean with it and to get my brain in sync with my body spasms, and to do what the spasm was trying to tell me to do. You know, if my calf is clenching tight, you know, I try and clench it tighter. And then once I get a grip of that clench, I can make it let go. So this works on every muscle that I can work in that way. Your rib muscles, it's a little harder, so I just have to lean with it. I can do the breathing, and that can help me to get rid of it as well. Taking the 2 milligrams of diazepam, that'll help me a lot. That'll get rid of it very quickly. So these are things that I do, and I know that everybody kind of finds their own way with this stuff. And everybody's triggers can be different. So my triggers and your triggers may be completely different, and I can only think of 2 at the moment, and I know there's more. I know there's more, but I can't remember them. Yes, I've had my grandkids now for a few days by myself. Today is the first day I've had any help. So, yeah, I'm a little loopy. Maybe I should call my show today, Welcome to Crazy Town. But my time is about up, so I'm going to be signing off and saying goodbye. But first, I want to thank you guys for listening. And I hope this was helpful, even in my roundabout, flip-floppy way, to help you understand that these are muscle spasms and that you need to talk to your doctor about them and find a doctor willing to agree that they are real, because they are. They're known. They have a physiological reason and everything that your doctor should be aware of. So talk to your doctor about them. If, you know, things like baclofen for me are just way too strong, and if that's true for you, then diazepam may be the right thing, because it's not so strong and it's very quick acting. Bras, cold, you know, you'll find your triggers. Think about what you did just before it. I know moving wrong. I can move suddenly wrong and cause muscle spasms as well. And all of your muscle spasms, other than the ones that just happen during the night, have triggers. And the ones that happen during the night, it's still triggered by a movement in your sleep or a dream or something that has your body jumping. So, but muscle spasms generally have triggers. The nighttime ones, I'm not so sure that there's triggers. So I just take stuff at night to keep them away. And now my time is officially over. So until next time, thank you guys. Thank you, Erica Lyons Richardson. I love you all. Be happy. Smile all the time. Smile at yourself if you have no one else to smile at. And until next time, take care and have a great week. Thanks again. Bye.